Okay, so not really anybody in here yet, but I am Christy and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk more about the Idaho 4 murders, and I hope you all had a great holiday. However you spent it, whoever you spent it with, I hope it was great. I also want to give a quick update on the Madalena Kojikari case. There's really no update. That's my update. If you don't know who I'm talking about, I would encourage you to go watch my other videos on her. So today I wanted to cover, I saw a post and it basically was the question, was this sloppy and random or was it skilled and planned? And I started writing notes and I thought this would be a really quick video. And as I was writing, it just kind of got more and more and more. And I think by the end of this, you will see it could be a little bit of all of those in one. I broke it down into different scenarios and I have some graphics to kind of show you what I'm talking about. And like I said, we're just going to kind of go through that question because we really don't know any more now than we did really at the beginning, but prior to Christmas. There's been a few things that I'm going to make videos about, but nothing really major, no big break in the case, which is what we're all hoping for, right? So just to get started, early on, the crime scene was described as sloppy and messy. And given the nature of the crime, how could it not be? I mean, killing 4 people is going to be messy business, I would imagine. And it's going to be sloppy. I don't think that law enforcement or the coroner or whoever made the statement meant sloppy in the sense that he made mistakes, but the killer could have made mistakes. It would have been very easy to make those mistakes, right? So initially I thought that might have been what they meant, but if that were the case, Ellie would have been closer to solving this. Like if he had made mistakes, really significant mistakes, he would be caught up with by now. Of course, we don't know how close they may be, because they're holding so much to themselves. They're not releasing a lot. So they could be a lot closer than we think. They may have somebody on their radar and we just don't know. Hopefully that's the case. If they did mean sloppy in the sense that he made mistakes or left evidence behind, did he just get extremely lucky to not be seen by anyone and not to wake the other 2 roommates up? Maybe he was sloppy and left behind evidence and DNA, but it's not in the system. And we've thought that all along, that this killer, even if he's committed crimes before, maybe he didn't get caught, or maybe, hold on. Or maybe it wasn't a crime that required them to put their DNA in the system. Another scenario would be there's a reasonable explanation to why their DNA would be at the scene. Now we know, like the body cam that came out from Truth and Transparency for the noise complaint, it's been referred to as a party house. And we saw in that video, there were a lot of people there. And apparently the people that live in the house were not there. But all these people were still in their house. They had access to the whole thing, it looks like. So anybody that had been there as a friend, a boyfriend, family member, even just some random party goer, because some people said they didn't even know who lived there. They had just gone into the party and then they were moving on to another party. So some of this DNA may be hard to sort out because a person could simply say, yeah, I was there at their Halloween party or something like that. So that kind of, if that's the DNA matches with somebody that has a reasonable explanation of being there, that kind of points away from it being random. Now, if there's DNA in there that they can't explain who it is, they can't track it back to someone specific, then maybe we are looking at a random killing. But we could also be looking at someone that, like I've said from the beginning, was just on the outside fringes of their inner circle. Maybe someone that they don't necessarily know, that they don't know well, but that person feels like they have a connection to them. Like that, in that person's mind, their relationship is more. But to the victims, they don't really know who they are. If it was random, it could still have an element of planning. Why I say this is because of the lack of blood outside. Now, we saw the blood dripping down on the foundation from what we think is Xana's room, but there's really been no evidence of a blood trail outside that we're aware of. Nothing obvious or significant. So the killer must have had a change of clothes or worn some type of coveralls that they then would have changed into clothes or removed the coveralls, placed those in a bag, and then made their escape. Another theory that is out there that it could be possible was that the killer cleaned himself up before leaving. Now that suggests a high level of comfort and familiarity with the scene. I mean, imagine if it's a random person, are they going to take the time to go through and go into the bathroom or the kitchen or wherever and clean themselves up before they leave? Or are they just going to do what they came to do and get out? Maybe taking off coveralls or changing clothes, which could be done fairly quickly. But to actually clean themselves up, that would take a while, especially if you're thinking like they took a shower or something. That definitely doesn't sound random. There are bathrooms right by Xana's room and Kaylee and Maddie's rooms. The killer would have walked by bathrooms, but feeling comfortable enough to clean up, I don't know. They could have cleaned up in the kitchen, but again, are you comfortable doing that? And I have a graphic here. Let me pull it up. I mean, it has been done in other cases. It definitely has, that the person has cleaned themselves up, but usually they've killed whoever's in the house. We know there's 2 roommates left behind here, right? So you'd have to be comfortable enough that you don't think one of them is going to come up and catch you as you're cleaning yourself up, right? Okay, let me get this up here. Make it a little smaller so you can see at the top. Whoops, where'd it go? Come on. At the top is the 3rd floor bathroom and the bottom is the 2nd. It's right by Maddie's room and it's right by Xana's room. So they would have gone by either one. But like I said, maybe on the 3rd floor, if the people on the 2nd floor are already not with us anymore, maybe you would feel comfortable enough. But I don't know. I think that's kind of a stretch. Regardless of how it happened, no blood trail was left outside, and that suggests the planning, at least to me. It could have been planned and still been sloppy. If the killer had planned on killing 1 or 2 of the victims and ended up having to kill 4 victims out of necessity, this goes against the plan he laid out, and those additional 2 or 3 kills could be where he got sloppy. So I'm going to pull up this graphic and just show you kind of where my mind was at when I was writing this. So, hello, allegedly. I hope you had a good Christmas. Okay, let's say that Ethan or Xana, or maybe both, were the targets. In that case, the killer likely knew that to kill Ethan, Xana would also be killed because they would be in the same room, or vice versa. So the killer made their plan to kill the 2 victims. They likely planned a way in that in their mind that would be swift, efficient, and quiet. Quiet being the key. So if they come in, which on my graphic here, they come in through the sliding glass door, the yellow arrows, their plan initially is just follow those yellow arrows, just go around Ethan and Xana's room, and then probably go right back out thinking they haven't alerted anyone upstairs or downstairs. But there's many ways this could have played out and gone awry. And obviously it did if this was the plan. Maybe the killer assumed Xana and Ethan would be asleep, so a sneak attack would be easy, inflicting the first injuries to an area that would prevent them from screaming or making a sound. But maybe one or both of them weren't asleep or fully asleep. They heard the killer come in and woke the other, or one woke up during the initial attack on the other. Someone yelled, screamed, fought back. I mean, we've heard that Xana had defensive wounds, and we've also heard that Ethan may have been found in the hallway or in the doorway of the room. So that commotion, whether it was a yell, a scream, sounds of the fight, are heard by Kaylee and Maddie, who we know were awake at least until around 3 a.m. because of the calls to Jack D. The girls come down the steps, perhaps, or yell down, "What's going on? Are you guys okay?" Our killer already didn't expect the fight with Xana and or Ethan. Now he's got two more to deal with. He wasn't prepared for that. So the sloppiness or mistakes may have already begun with the unexpected confrontation with Xana and Ethan. This guy likely planned to be in and out, quick and quiet. This added wrinkle of Kaylee and Maddie in his plan definitely could have led to mistakes or sloppiness. He didn't plan for this. He wasn't prepared for this. So now we see that if Kaylee or Maddie had started down the stairs, he's got to go, look at the purple arrows now. He's got to chase them back up the stairs. If they just yelled, he ran up there before they came down. You have to figure our killer is in a frenzy at this point. He's got an adrenaline rush going. He's frustrated. His plan is falling apart. He's in a panic. He's come this far. He's not going to get caught now. He's got to take care of these two. So we know Kaylee and Maddie were in the same room, same bed. That doesn't mean they were sleeping in the same bed. Maybe they were hanging out talking. Maybe they were in the same room because whatever they heard scared them. And maybe Kaylee had gone to her room and she heard something. She went back over to Maddie's room. We don't know. Maybe if they ran back up the stairs, they ran to the closest room together. Because if you see, let me change this graphic to the upstairs. If you go up the stairs, Maddie's room would be the closest one to turn and slip into. So if they had been on the stairs, maybe they just ran up and ran in there. Now, what we don't know is if Kaylee and Maddie had time to come up with a plan to defend themselves. You know, maybe they were going to hit him with something when he came through the door, whatever. Did they have time to come up with like a spur of the moment plan to try to fight for their life? The killer attacks one of them. The other likely fights, trying to get him off her friend. He pushes the first one down on the bed, attacks the second, and maybe throws them on the bed as well. Now we've got them both in the same bed. Mistakes could have been made here. Did the killer touch the wall or grab the railing of the stairs as he ran up to get them? He probably had gloves on, but if there's a bloody handprint going up, so this way on the wall or the railing, then that's going to help us know that Xana and Ethan were first. But it still doesn't mean they're the target. If it's going down, if the handprint on the wall is facing down or on the railing is facing fingers down, then we know Kaylee and Maddie were first. Did he injure himself during this unexpected part of the crime? The knife would be duller, requiring more effort on his part. He'd be getting more exerted from the effort, more chances of knife slippage from the blood because he's already got Xana and Ethan's blood on there, and now there's more. And here's one that I hadn't really heard or thought of, but was he getting sweaty from all the effort and the rage? That's DNA. Now, his clothing could have absorbed it, but what if there was a drop? Did they grab something to hit him with as he came through the door? He could have bled or stumbled and grabbed something. Maybe Kaylee's injuries seemed to be the worst because she fought the hardest. So, after his ordeal upstairs, like I said, he's going to run the purple arrows into Maddie's room. Red arrows, he's going out. Then he's going to come downstairs and he slips right around the corner and out the door. Maybe cleaning up in the kitchen. We don't know. Hi, Vicky. Yep, we're going to get to that scenario because that's kind of what I think too. It makes the most sense. So you can reverse the scenario with basically the same end result, but it could go one or two ways. Let's say Kaylee or Maddie was the target and the killer planned on killing one of them in their room. They may have had a contingency plan in case the other woke up. So he planned on one, but was prepared for two if necessary. Okay, for scenario 2, our killer is going to plan on slipping in to the house and go directly to the 3rd floor to carry out his plan. That's the purple arrows. And you're going to say, this graphic is horrible. This is chaotic. I almost didn't leave it like this, but then I thought, I want you to see the chaos that this scenario would cause and why I think this scenario probably could have left the most evidence. So he's unexpectedly intercepted on the 2nd floor by Xana or Ethan before he makes it up the stairs. Maybe they're up to go to the bathroom or get a drink. Maybe they heard the killer come in. Whatever. The X would be intercept. This scenario can also go a few different ways, so just kind of bear with me. So the killer's been intercepted by Xana or Ethan, likely Ethan. He attacks the interceptor who likely yelled to the other Xana or Ethan, who now comes to see what's going on. There's a fight, probably in the area of the X. Xana either didn't make it out of her room or ran back in to hide. Ethan's trying to protect Xana and block the killer from getting to her in the room. Ethan succumbs to his injuries in the doorway or the hall near the bedroom. Killer moves on to Xana, then goes upstairs to carry out his plan. So on the graphic, you can see the purple arrows. First, he's coming in. He wants to make that turn and just go straight upstairs. But the red arrows coming towards the kitchen, that's Ethan coming out of the room. They intercept at the big red X. Now you see the purple arrows are chasing the red arrows back to Xana's room. He chases them in there. Ethan probably killed first. Like I said, succumbs to his injuries either in the hallway or in the bedroom. Killer continues on in to Xana, kills her. Now the yellow arrows, the killer's leaving Xana's room and heading upstairs to do what he came to do in the first place. He's overextended himself. The knife is dulled. Everything from the first scenario, except now maybe he was injured, hit with something, stumbled into something on the 2nd floor versus the 3rd floor. He could have been injured in that fight with Ethan, with Xana. Maybe somebody hit him with something, caused him to stumble, touch something he wasn't planning on. This scenario where he leaves Xana's room and goes upstairs, in that scenario, we're going to assume that Kaylee and Maddie heard nothing. Okay, 2B. So, scenario 2B, is basically the same, except this time Kaylee and Maddie did hear something. They make a sound, they yell, or they start down the stairs like we talked about in scenario 1. This sends the killer into a major panic. He kills Ethan and Xana in a hurried frenzy just to shut them up, get them out of the way so he can accomplish what he came to do. Now, being panicked or being in a frenzy after, not expecting to have to kill 4 people would probably lead to being somewhat sloppy, somewhat messy. So this surely was sloppy, messy, and full of mistakes, as it was unexpected. If the girls knew he was coming, they likely huddled together in Maddie's room. Maybe that's why Murphy wasn't in there. Maybe Kaylee left him in her room as she went in and hid and huddled up with Maddie in her room. Let's see who's joined here. Hello, Laurie Myers. Okay. If Kaylee and Maddie were aware he was coming, a fight like I described in scenario 1, this would lead to sloppiness and a mess, along with possible mistakes on both floors. Killer could have been injured on the 2nd and 3rd floors, maybe leaving even more DNA behind. So he could have been injured in the fight with Xana and Ethan. If they knew he was coming, he could have been attacked again by Maddie and Kaylee when he got upstairs, leading to more injury. Okay. 3rd scenario. Sorry about all the scenarios, guys. The killer slips in, makes it to the 3rd floor as planned. This scenario can also go a few ways. So if Maddie's the target, the killer plans to go in and quietly do what he planned and get out without Kaylee hearing. He goes into Maddie's room and unexpectedly finds Kaylee there. One or both is awake or is awoken by the attack on the 1st. The one not attacked fights to get him off her friend or tries to run. The killer grabs her, wounds her, throws her on the bed with the 1st victim. Again, now we've got them both in the same room, same bed. The killer finishes on the 3rd floor, goes back to the 2nd floor to leave. This is when Xana and Ethan intercept. They heard the noise upstairs. They intercept the killer. The fight ensues. And again, we see the killer's coming down, has to chase them back to their room, and then turn around and leave. Okay. Scenario 3B. Again, we're going to assume Maddie's the target. The killer attacking Maddie. The killer was attacking Maddie, and Kaylee hears something from her room. Her dad says her bed was made, so I don't know, maybe she was in the bathroom, whatever. But here we've got the purple arrows coming up the stairs, turning, going right into Maddie's room. That's the killer. Kaylee hears something. She's the yellow arrows, and she's coming over to see what's going on. She goes to check on Maddie, startles the killer. He grabs Kaylee, attacks her, throwing her on top of the bed with Maddie. Killer goes to 2nd floor to leave, and then we have the intercept again and the fight, and then he leaves. In our 3rd, I think this is, nope, not quite yet. In scenario 3C, Kaylee is the target. The killer doesn't find her in her room, so he goes to Maddie's room. If they were asleep, one woke up upon him entering or attacking the other. One fights back, intercept on the 2nd floor with Ethan and Xana, and then he leaves. So here you see he comes up. He immediately goes to Kaylee's room. She's not there, so he turns around and goes to Maddie's room. And then my final one for this, Kaylee or Maddie or both are the target. Killer planned for this. Killer knew they'd be in the same room or wanted them in the same room. Basically the same as the other scenario. One fights as the other is attacked or screams. Intercept on the 2nd floor. So hopefully those graphics were kind of helpful. I know they were chaotic, especially the one with millions of arrows, but let's see what you guys are saying. Hi, Linda. I'm glad you got your notification. I hope they're fixing that. YouTube's been really bad lately. Thank you, allegedly. We appreciate you so much. Yeah, it seems like a lot of people are focusing on Kaylee being the target. And, you know, I haven't really decided. It honestly, it could be any of the four. But the fact that she wasn't supposed to be there that weekend is a key for me. So someone knew that this was their opportunity to get her, or the opposite of that, she wasn't expected to be there. So that was a surprise to the killer, and unfortunately she lost her life. Regardless of the scenario, it still feels more targeted than random. One or more of the victims may have been the target, but I don't feel like all four were a target. I feel like one or two were a target, and the other two, they heard something. Somehow the killer knew they were there and awake and could possibly call 911, could possibly identify them. So the other two had to be taken out for him to be able to get away. I'm trying to find ways to put this so it's not so awful, but yeah. I wrote that I don't feel like all four were targets because that would be a heck of a plan to pull off, although somehow this killer has done it. Random to me is hard to wrap my mind around. So why that house? If they knew nothing about the occupants, why that house? It's a big house and you don't know who's in it. It could be several females, it could be several males, it could be a mix of both. They don't know what they're walking into. They know nothing about the layout of the house, who's going to be where, anything like that. And then the random part, why spare the two downstairs? Did they not know they were there? That there were bedrooms down there? That people were in those bedrooms down there? Or did he get injured, tired, startled, whatever, and thought, I've got to get out of here fast, and just did not continue down to that floor? If it was random, as in being a stranger, it still seems the person had been watching for a while. Is this what Ellie meant when they said they were developing patterns regarding the Elantra? Do they think the Elantra, had it been frequenting that area, do they think the person in the Elantra had been watching the house? I don't know, but they said they were developing patterns with it. So, hi, Emma. Yeah, you might hear Steve. I gave him some cranberries, and he's watching General Hospital, but you never know. You may hear him. Hello, Eudora's Mama's Garden. Okay. So the killer likely watched long enough to know who was in the house, which rooms were occupied, what their routines were, etc. If that's the case, though, then again, we have to ask, why were the two downstairs roommates spared? If they had been watching, they would know. They would know there were two other girls. They would know they were downstairs. They would know those rooms were being used. So, again, there's either a reason they were spared, like they weren't targets, they didn't feel the need to take them out, they heard nothing coming from downstairs, maybe they didn't know those roommates were home, or again, maybe they were tired, injured, or they got spooked by a sound and knew they had to make their escape before they could go downstairs and kill the other two. So from what we know, there's no indication of blood downstairs where the two surviving roommates were. So did the killer come in the front door and just bypass those rooms for some reason? Did the killer clean up before going downstairs to leave out the front door? Again, bypassing those rooms for some reason. Now, if somebody is comfortable enough to clean themselves up before going down the stairs to exit the house, there would need to be a very significant reason that they left those two alone. And that may answer a lot. I don't know. But they've said that the door was open, which to me, I can't really wrap my mind around that either. If it was open for, let's say, from 3 in the morning, sorry, until noonish when the cops were called, it was so cold. The temperatures, you mean to tell me the roommates didn't notice it was cold? They didn't hear any noise from outside, like cars going by or anything like that? I mean, it's hard for me to believe the door was open that entire time. But, I mean, anything's possible. I mean, a lot of people are having a hard time wrapping their mind around the roommates not hearing anything. But we know in other cases that's also happened. Let's see. That's true, allegedly. That's true. I mean, BTK, he did watch, though. He did watch his projects, as he liked to call them. Yeah, allegedly. Israel Keys, man, him and his kill kits. He's a fascinating one, definitely. So, okay. It doesn't feel like this person just randomly went into this house, walking around, not knowing the layout of the house, just wandering around until he found his victims. But, I mean, you think about like a Ted Bundy. I mean, he picked that sorority house, but did he know which rooms were going to have his victim in it? Probably not. But I guess he went room to room till he found them. So, I mean, it's possible. But even if this was some sort of like spontaneous rage killing, it feels like he had to have some level of familiarity with the house and how to navigate it efficiently. He knew where to go, how to get in, how to get out without being detected. And there were no signs of forced entry, which seems like he probably knew if he went in the front the code, or knew the back door lock was broken, or the back door was unlocked, or the window was unlocked, or something. He could be a skilled killer either by committing previous crimes he's gotten away with, or maybe even hunting, but all of that skill probably went out the window when his plan fell apart. Even killing one person with a knife is probably messy business. Imagine 4. Killing 4, I would think, would get messy and sloppy in a hurry, especially with victims fighting back. However, his skill could have led to the planning of how not to get caught. Bringing extra clothes or wearing coveralls that could be slipped off when he was done. A silent weapon being a knife versus a gun. He was likely wearing gloves, maybe even a mask. Knowing the best way to get in and out without detection. No digital footprint that we know of. No forced entry. So honestly, it could be random and sloppy and skilled and planned. A random person could be skilled. That person could have watched and planned. Their plan didn't work out and it got sloppy, or just the nature of the crime itself is sloppy. A targeted attack could even be random if someone unknown was fixated on killing one or more of the victims. An attack that wasn't random could definitely be sloppy. An attack that was planned could be sloppy. Both of those could have been done by someone skilled. So, 43 days later, with no suspect, no motive, no weapon found, and the seemingly elusive Elantra, what do you guys think? Do you guys think there's any way this was random? Or do you think when it comes out, it's going to be somebody that had an issue with one of the victims or more of the victims? Thank you, Lori. The honey badger, Mrs. G. I love it. Love it. Not random. Yeah, random. I mean, when I found out about the Oregon stabbings and the Washington stabbings, and you could kind of make connections, then it was sort of like, even then it wouldn't be random. It feels planned. But I thought serial killer, maybe. And I mean, this could still be a serial killer. Could be a budding serial killer. But I find it hard to think the first kill for a serial killer is going to be 4 people. But you never know. But I feel like even maybe if that night was random, maybe they weren't planning to do it that night. Like I said, there was some element of planning involved because they have gotten away with it for this long. They haven't been caught yet. I mean, I can't imagine they didn't get injured in some fashion. Using a knife, they almost always injure themselves. Even a knife like a K-bar, if that's what it was, with a hilt, it's only going to help so much. And as that knife gets duller and you're having to exert more effort to do the stabbing, even with gloves, it could slip. So, like I said, even in a fight with them, they could have injured themselves. And that's what I'm hoping for. Because if you watched my video about the Halloween murders in Napa, the killer left 1 drop of blood. 1 drop. And they were able to use that 1 drop to prove it was him once they found out who he was. But that's all it's going to take. You know, and let's say it was a person that's been in the house but didn't necessarily have a reason to be like in Maddie's room. So that DNA doesn't seem like it should be in Maddie's room. I mean, it could be something very simple like that ties it all together. Too personal to be random. Yeah, stabbings are so personal. I mean, you're right up there in their face. I mean, when you shoot somebody, you can do it from as far away as, you want, right? Lori, yeah, we don't know where Ethan was, but I've heard the hallway, I've heard the doorway. I did see the new released image from the Corner Club. I'm going to do a video about it. It looks like, and I've got some comparison pictures, it looks like the girls are with Jack D. That Jack D is sitting on the stool and the girls are talking to him. We see Hoodie Guy off to the right. Adam's in the corner by the door. And then there's a person talking to Adam, an older person. Some people think it's the chief of police, but after looking at pictures, I think it's the owner of the bar. And he may have been coming in before closing time. I don't know. But I am going to do a video about that. Yeah, I think he heard something as well. Folding buck knife compared to fixed blade. And a teenager doesn't hurt himself, but this one did. That's true. That's true. Yeah, if they hit an artery, yeah, I can tell you from pre-med, that's messy business right there. Those arteries, the blood goes everywhere. Yeah, allegedly. I have 10 dogs, and I think 7 of them are in the house right now. It is really, really cold again here today. And my big dogs, they don't care. They love to be outside. They're like herding dogs, and they like to patrol all 25 acres. So they're outside, but the little guys are in the house. No, they don't. Pie in the sky, they don't usually become dull that quickly, but I have heard K-bars are used in the military a lot, and I've heard from military people that a lot of times when they get issued a K-bar, they'll actually get something else because the blade is not as thick as you would like it to be, and they do dull quickly. And then if you're talking about bone and all that, but if it wasn't like specifically a K-bar, they do make knives out there with nice thick blades that do stay sharp for quite a while. Oh, I'm sorry, Nancy. I hope your dog's not barking now. exactly, allegedly. And I think that's what gets the military people so angry, is because they dull quickly. They have to sharpen them a lot. My husband's like obsessed with sharpening his, so I don't know. But no, I think in that area, and hunting is very common, and so many people have knives, that the knife they used probably is going to be a strong knife, one that can handle stabbing, cutting, whatever. I mean, if you're talking about like field dressing an animal after hunting, you've got to have a good knife for that, right? Oh, allegedly, I'm sorry. I hope your cat's not scared. Oh my. Well, at least Steve hasn't yelled yet. I don't know. That might rile up dogs, cats, everybody. But like I said, he's watching General Hospital eating cranberries, so he seems to be pretty happy right now. But no, like I said, I feel like there was some element of planning as far as getting out without leaving a trail of blood outside. Maybe allegedly, you could probably answer, like, when you go hunting, it's pretty common, like, to wear some type of coveralls, right? I mean, that would make sense to me, that they would wear something like that to kind of cover what was underneath, and they could slip those coveralls off and put them in a bag or whatever and slip out and not be covered in blood. Exactly. Thank you, allegedly. Yeah. And then, they make gloves, like, for butchers and people like that they have a really good grip so knives don't slip. They could have had gloves like that. I mean, they have gloves that you can't cut through. I mean, they make like whole sleeves that you can't cut through. So if they really thought about it, they could have had stuff like that on. And if there was potentially going to be an injury from cutting or whatever, they may have prevented that from happening. And if they had a mask on, a lot of times, like when they said they bagged their hands, I mean, sometimes you'll see victims will have hair in their hands where they've grabbed their killer and they've ripped out some hair, or hopefully there was skin, DNA under their fingernails. But if he was wearing a mask, I mean, if they clawed at his eyes, they may have been able to get something from the eye holes. But, there's a lot of things to consider. How well did they cover themselves to prevent leaving a DNA trail behind? Mask, gloves, boots, coveralls, the whole 9 yards. I've thought about that, honey badger. I thought about, could they have been there waiting? Maybe we know the 2 surviving roommates had gone out. I don't know when, but they arrived back home around 1 o'clock. Maybe while the house was empty, somebody could have slipped in and been waiting for them when they came home. Exactly, Lori. Yeah, they do. They cover themselves up because of that. Allegedly, that's great. Yes, send them to me. I would love to put those in. Allegedly has pictures of those gloves, and they've been using them to shut down arguments. Yeah, they are out there. I think you can even get them like on Amazon probably, but they will protect you. You cannot cut through them. I don't know if they have, like, what are they made out of, allegedly? Do you know? But you can't cut through them. And it protects you, like, from cutting your hands. And like I said, they have sleeves that fit, up onto your arm where you can't get cut there either if you're doing a job that there's a risk for that. Yeah, allegedly says they're less than $5 and are cut proof. I threw out a pack of 10 about 6 months ago. Yeah, exactly, honey badger. They're some kind of metal, like almost like armor woven in like chainmail or whatever. You can get them on Wish for $1.99. I don't know if I'd trust Wish gloves to keep me safe, but maybe. I would think so too, Nancy, but I saw an evidence marker outside and it looked like it was near a shoe print in the backyard, but I couldn't tell if there was blood. It just looked like a boot print in the mud. But I mean, they could have had covers on their shoes as well. Kevlar type fabric, yes. Eudora's Mama's Garden. I need those for like cooking. I have cut myself and stabbed myself so many times when I'm cooking with knives, but yeah. So I don't know. Do you guys think that police are close? That's been the big question I've seen on social media, that a lot of people think they have somebody in mind and maybe they're waiting for them to return to campus. They made that statement the other day that they don't know where the individual is, which a lot of people took to mean they knew who they are, they just don't know where they are. So I don't know. I would think if it was a student, they'd have a good idea of where they went for break, unless they went on a trip or something. But do you think that they have an idea? Hi, Steph. Man, allegedly, I hope not. I hope they have something. I know Aaron Snell said they were starting to get results back from the lab, and I got really excited. I was like, oh, yes, they're going to find something, but still no break. Still nothing. They have been quiet, though. The police have been really quiet the past few days. They haven't come out with much. I mean, maybe they just don't have anything new to say, but I don't know. Do you think it could be a student? I still feel like there's a frat connection, or a Greek connection, I guess I should say. Maybe not necessarily the frat. It could have been a sorority. And not necessarily someone in it, but maybe someone that was rejected by them. I know when I went to school, that was a huge thing. There were some people that they took that so personally. If they wanted to rush a particular house and pledge a particular house and they didn't get in, I mean, they were legit angry about it. I don't know if you don't know what might spark a killer. Oh, I know, Steph. YouTube's failing everybody. A lot of people aren't getting notifications lately. Exactly, allegedly. And we have, like, not even a person of interest. We have all these people that they're like, nope, they're not involved. Nope, they're not involved. This isn't related. This, but we haven't had anybody that they've said is a person of interest. And I haven't heard of anybody even being brought in that would be considered a person of interest. I'm sure they've talked to, like Jack S and Jack D and all of these people, but everybody, it seems like every time something comes up that we think, ooh, maybe this is something, they end up saying it's not related. Like the dog being skinned, the coyotes on the Greek houses, the 2 murders in Oregon and Washington, hoodie guy, they're cleared. It's not related. It's not involved. It's, nothing ever seems related in this case, except the car they can't find. I don't know, Honey Badger, Dylan and Bethany, that's a big one for me. I don't know why they were spared. Does anybody have any theories on that one? Did this person not know they were there? I mean, I don't think they're involved. I don't want to say they're involved, but it's baffling. Yes, Steph, for hashtag rabbit holes. I even sent her a rabbit hole this morning. Eudora's Mama's Garden, don't go there. Don't bring her up. Not Lindsay. See who runs. Yeah. And that's the thing, right? If this wasn't around holiday break, it might have been easier to watch behavior, to watch who stuck around or who suddenly had to leave for some reason. But with this being around break, it worked out perfectly for this killer. You know, well, everybody just go home early for Thanksgiving break. And then you have the option to finish the semester online. And now it's Christmas break. And, you know, I mean, what better cover could you possibly have? The people that you're around day in and day out, you're not going to be around. They're not going to notice your behavior. Hopefully, your family will notice you're acting a little odd. But leaving under these circumstances, it doesn't look suspicious at all. It makes perfect sense. Now, I mean, I kind of wondered, they're beefing up security, getting ready for spring semester to start. And I'm sure they've given them the option to do it online too, since this hasn't been solved. But it'll kind of be interesting to see who doesn't come back for spring. But I mean, this person has to be acting differently. I don't think you could kill 4 people and then just go on about your day. But if you look at Delphi, I mean, little Dickie killed 2 little girls and nobody suspected him. So I definitely think that somebody screamed. Eudora, definitely. I mean, I don't think stabbing 4 people to death could have been quiet, not for all 4 of them. Somebody had to hear something, gurgling, gagging, you know, gasping for air, something, even if they weren't able to scream. It couldn't have been quiet. I would too, allegedly. I wouldn't go back. Yeah, I would just do it online. Exactly, Vicky H. I mean, it definitely could have not known they were there. You know, maybe they thought the downstairs was just storage, because in the noise complaint body camera video on Truth and Transparency, when they look in the one window, there's like golf clubs and stuff, you know, like laying up against the wall, and it looks like a storage room. So maybe they thought it was storage down there. I don't know. Or like you said, maybe they just didn't have an issue with those 2, and maybe just by the fact that they were quiet, you know, because if they went in and went after Xana and Ethan, and they heard Kaylee and Maddie upstairs, I think that's why Kaylee and Maddie ended up getting killed. If they went for Kaylee and Maddie and Xana and Ethan heard them and came out or made a noise, that's what happened. That someone in that 4 made a sound, and the killer knew that they had to take care of all of them. If the ones downstairs were quiet and didn't make any noise, maybe that's what saved their life. Oh, good grief. No, Honey Badger. I'll have to look into that one. Lori, are you talking about me? Lori, I see your chats. Don't come at me. I see your chats, Lori. I am. Let me go back up. What did I miss? Okay, yes. Okay, Lori, I did miss those. So, Lori Myers brought up something really good. What is everyone's opinion on how and where he removed his protective gear? I think it's important to think about, because he could have left something as he was taking it off. That is really smart. Where do you guys think that he took all of that off? no, allegedly. No, think about that. So they come in, they're wearing a mask, they're wearing gloves, they're wearing coveralls or a different set of clothes. They've got covers on their shoes and they're rushing to get out. So they're taking everything off. What if they dropped a glove? What if one of the shoe covers was left behind? What if a mask was dropped? That's a very good point. 2 sets of PPE. What do you mean, Honey Badger? There were 2 sets. Oh. Yeah, Lori, that would be my guess, is that right there in that kind of open area by the slider would make the most sense for me. I mean, but you got to wonder, like, did he pull out a chair from the table and sit down while he, took off the boot covers or anything like that? I mean, how comfortable was this guy? But yeah, definitely, I think it was in the kitchen by the slider that he didn't take anything off until he was actually ready to exit the house. Parkour. I know you're joking allegedly about the parkour, maybe. But, I looked at that balcony for so long. And I wondered what would be the chances of somebody trying to make the jump from the balcony down rather than going back down the stairs and out. But no, Lori, I 100% agree with you that whenever it was taken off, wherever they exited from, it was right before they stepped out. But wouldn't that be something if they did leave something behind? That would be huge. Allegedly knows how to do this, you guys. Don't make allegedly mad. You stand in a bag next to the window, slide off the upper portion, slide out a leg, stepping partially out the window, took off the other leg, doing the same, picked up the bag, dropped it to the ground. Damn. That's smart, allegedly. That's smart. If I ever decide to become a killer, I'm going to call you for some tips. When I took forensics in college, little side story here, our professor used to tell us that if we ever committed a crime, not to mention that we had taken his class. Main floor, upper floor, lower floor. That's true. Yeah, you guys, Lori Meyer, you're on it. I mean, that balcony has entered my mind so many times that, like you said, you could put a tarp on the ground and throw shit out as you're done with it, but every time they would show shots from the back of the house, I'm like, and you would see people standing under, like, taking pictures or what have you when they were there collecting evidence. I'm like, would that be a bad jump? I think it's doable. I definitely think it's doable. Now, me, I'd sprain an ankle or break a leg, but exactly. Lori and allegedly, I think they're onto something with this, because if they left without leaving a trail, they really had to do something, like with bags, tarps, whatever, when they're changing or stripping off their protective gear that they wore during the murders and disposing of it, they did it so well. They got in and they got out without leaving a trace outside. that looked like anything happened other than the blood dripping on the foundation. Oh, well, allegedly has an advantage over all of us because he's an illusionist and a magician and athletics. So I'm out. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I do think they had to be athletic, though. Allegedly, will you at least give me that? They had to be pretty athletic or strong. See, and Lori, I'm wondering, we don't see any tracks outside, but do you think they left footprints in the house? I would think they had to. Unless, like you said, they kill a person and then they take off the booties and put different ones on. I mean, would there have been tracks in the house through the blood? You would think so. That's true, allegedly, and that's kind of how I feel like, not just this case, but any case. Sometimes I feel like the police are kind of using distraction. Like, they want you to look over here, but they're actually looking over here. Like, you know, Kaylee and Maddie are the target. Don't look at Ethan and Xana kind of thing. I'm not saying that's what's going on here, but... Well, and my thinking is, we know Ethan was athletic and he was like 6'3", and I know he would have fought, and that right there would have been a big battle. Even if they're sleeping, I mean, think about it. If somebody like tickles your nose with a feather and you're sleeping, you know, you're like, you know, you're swinging all over the place, right? So I know getting stabbed, I know you could get a fatal stab right off the mark, but I know there was a battle there. I know it. I don't know if booties disguise shoe impressions. I would think to an extent they would. I don't know, I just keep thinking about the booties that they wear in surgery, or like we had somebody come do work on the house one time and they covered their shoes with booties so they wouldn't drag in dirt from outside. Okay, so here's another question. Now that I'm kind of going through chat. Do you think there's more than one person involved? Not necessarily more than one killer, but do you think they had a lookout or anything like that? Eudora's Mama's Garden. I heard that they heard a watery sound. So, yeah, that could have been water running. Yep. That really changes things for me, though. Like, to think about taking the time to run the water, or, God, if I think about taking a shower, holy crap. I mean, that's a risk, right? Like standing there, cleaning yourself up, and then taking that calculated risk that somebody could walk in at any moment. But if they heard water, that means something. Hey, Reagan. So, Honey Badger, you don't think there's more than one person? Exactly, allegedly. And that's kind of my point. If there's more than one person, even, well, actually, especially if it was a lookout, somebody at some point is going to talk. And if you feel like they're getting close, the lookout's going to probably talk first because they don't want to be held responsible for a murder that they didn't commit. Now, they're still going to be an accessory or whatever, but definitely feel like somebody would talk. What was it on Pretty Little Liars? Two can keep a secret if one of them is dead. Yeah, they could have just rinsed off their PPE. But even taking the time to rinse stuff off, you know, you got to think, like, they probably wanted to get in, get out, and that's just extra minutes they spent in that house, and that's crazy to me because that means they were comfortable. Possibly a lookout. Yeah, I mean, part of me, I feel like it was one killer, but then part of me always goes back and asks myself, could there be more than one person involved? Would it have taken two people to handle killing four people? But if they only went there planning to kill two, it probably was just one killer. I feel like if there were two killers, then they probably would have ended up, all six of them would have been murdered. I don't know. So who do you guys have on your suspect list still? I haven't quite taken Jack D off of mine, and I get a lot of hate for that because they're like, oh, he's been cleared, but I can't quite take him off my list yet. I don't know if I'm as suspicious of Jack S as I was, but Jack D definitely. The one neighbor, Jeremy, was never on my list. Enon, the neighbor, he's a weirdo. A lot of red flags there, but I don't know if it was him. Joanna Dennehy is the female killer's name. Okay, I will look that up when we get off of here. That's crazy. No, I feel like if there were two killers, there would have been two knives, and we probably would have heard that. You don't think Jack D, Honey Badger? I don't know. I don't know why I can't get Jack D off of my list. Lori Myers, you're probably right. Eudora's Mama's Garden. Okay, not Mr. Gonsalves. You know who else it wasn't? It wasn't Murphy the dog. I know that for a fact. Murphy is innocent. Lori Myers, the frat bros. Yeah. That frat bro theory. It could be. I mean, I feel like it could end up like Delphi, though. You know, like they're going to come out here and they're going to be like, this is the guy that did it. And we're all going to be like, who the hell was that? Because, I mean, how many suspects did we all have in Delphi? That list was so long, and it wasn't any of them. Yeah, I got so mad when that FBI agent implied that it could have been Steve Gonsalves. Oh my God, I went nuts. And now people are saying, I haven't seen it. If any of you have it, send it to me. That apparently someone posted somewhere that they were Kaylee's, I guess, half-sister. Like Steve's eldest daughter, but not Christy's daughter. And talking about she didn't know Kaylee. People have been like pointing the finger at Olivia because she said Kaylee was a mean girl. And just like, wow. Yeah, I know, Lori Myers. I know. I've read a lot of stories. Have you heard of... Thank you, Renee. Have you heard of Tucker Hips from Clemson, Lori? He was pledging Sigma Phi Epsilon, and what happened to him? Yeah, those Greek people, they will keep their mouths shut. Yeah, Reagan, that, and that's why whenever I look at a case, I don't want to just know what happened then. I think if you go back and look in the days before, a lot of the answers are in the days before. And sometimes the days after when you're talking about like suspects, what they do. But a lot of times, whatever led up to it was days before. Honey Badger, were they in the same house? Or did she go like to 3 different places? And Lori, if you were Greek, I'm sure you understand what I mean about the, I'm sure you understand that if you want to get in a certain house and you don't, people can really harbor a lot of anger about that, especially if they find out, like, who blackballed them. Same house, same day. Wow. Yeah, I'm going to have to look into that. That's crazy. I'm going to write that name down before I forget it. Go back up here. Joanna. That's why it's good to have my handy dandy notebook with me all the time. Dennehy. Sounds like something I may have to cover when true crime decides to slow down. Which I wish it would, because it's hard to keep up with all these cases right now. Like I said, poor little Magdalena still hasn't been found. Nothing new there. Tarot 1111 Mama D channel. Yeah, I've got a bunch of notes that I took just about a lot of odd things that have happened around the Greek system at the University of Idaho that I'm probably going to do a short video and just upload that one instead of going live. But their Greek system has had a lot of problems. That's why it's kind of hard to steer myself away from that theory. And I mean, there's people on, well, of course, 4chan, but there's people on Twitter and different places, and they're posting stuff, and it seems like they know so much, and they could just be crafting it up in their own minds, but it's weird how many people seem to know so much. I even had people messaging me with, like, they know all this stuff, but they can't say it because it might compromise the investigation. And it's like, what? You're right, allegedly. I know. Every time you think, like, okay, it's slowing down, then boom. Definitely could have, truth teller. Definitely could have. Yeah, Honey Badger, Madalena is... It doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound good. Definitely not. And I want to do an update video on it, but there's just nothing new. And I've been talking to locals in the area, and I mean, it sounds like they're doing everything they can, but hopefully the mom or the stepdad, somebody will crack. Somebody will give them something. They could have had, truth teller, they could have had 2 or more knives. Yeah, definitely. But they've kind of led us to believe it was only 1. But then what they lead us to believe could be completely wrong. I mean, like I said, we know like 5 to 10% of what the investigators know, like at any given time. I'm just still very curious about Xana and Ethan's night. How originally they had said, oh, they were there from 8 to 9 at the Sig Chi party, and now all of a sudden they were there till 1:40. What happened at that party? I thought that day one, what happened at that party? Especially when I thought they left at 9. I'm like, why did they leave at 9? Did they have an argument? What, were they uncomfortable? Did something happen to make them leave? But, we haven't seen anybody really come out and say, oh yeah, I saw them at the party, or I was there with them at the party, or like pictures of them at the party or anything like that. I know Ethan's brother was a SIG guy too, so I'm sure he knows if something happened. Tim Piazza from Penn State. Yeah, that's another one. But look at Tucker Hips. His poor family. Yes, I'm pretty sure it was Clemson where that happened. There's a lot of deaths around fraternities that just nobody will talk. Nobody will talk. So I'll definitely be interested to see who comes out as like a person of interest or a suspect. I mean, I guess that's another good question for you guys. And allegedly, if you're still in here, do you think they'll come out with a person of interest, or they'll just announce when there's been an arrest? Because a lot of times they don't come out and tell us anything. They just come out and say, oh, we arrested this person. Yeah, Reagan, I feel like the roommates know something. They heard something. I don't know that they know who the killer was, but I definitely think they know more than what we think they know. And I've heard they haven't really, like, been reaching out to the victims' families, and I'm wondering if that's because law enforcement told them not to. Yeah, I've heard people, ask if the roommates have been hypnotized to see if they could remember something that way. So I don't know. But yeah, it definitely feels like they know something, or they should know something. Even if it's just sounds. Oh my goodness, Lori. Allegedly says they usually arrest someone that they can prove as a suspect. Otherwise, they'll bring them in for question and say they're a person of interest for information. Yeah. That's kind of what I'm wondering. I mean, you know, they've put out wanting to find this car, but they've never said, like, oh, we want to talk to these people, like anyone specific. They want information about certain time frames and things like that, but I feel like we're not going to know till they've made a solid arrest. I do too, Lori. I feel like, you know, the roommates, you know, people have been really coming down on them for not going to the memorial and things like that. And I can kind of see why. I mean, if you survived something like that and you didn't know who did it, you don't know if they're going to come after you. What if they didn't know you were there? And they're like, oh my God, maybe they saw something, maybe they heard something. I mean, I'd be scared if it was me. That's true, Paula. Paula Volter says, I find it interesting that Kaylee's dad said that Kaylee's liver and lungs were sliced. The owner of the dog that was skinned said the dog was sliced. Yeah, didn't they say the dog was filleted or something? It was awful. But yeah, like I said, the roommates, I mean, I think maybe they're not out publicly because of fear, or they've been told by law enforcement not to say anything to anyone. But if they don't know anything, I mean, it's got to be scary, because you don't know. The killer might think you know something, even if you don't. Yeah, Lori, the survivor's guilt would be horrible. I can't imagine. I had survivor's guilt when my parents died, and they were, you know, it was like, I mean, my dad had cancer and my mom died from congestive heart failure, but I mean, basically natural causes because they were older. But I had survivor's guilt from that, just having to make different decisions about like their care at the end and things like that. I felt bad. I can't imagine living, like 4 of my friends were killed and I survived. Whew, no. And I find it funny, like, people are like, Jack D isn't talking, and neither is Jake, Maddie's boyfriend. He spoke at the memorial, but Jake's not speaking either. Jake hasn't been under all the scrutiny as Jack, and I mean, I don't blame Jack for not talking. Jack Showalter didn't really talk either. He went to his parents' cabin or whatever, 5 hours away, and we haven't really heard from him. I mean, honestly, we're not owed anything by any of these people. Right, Paula, yeah. I mean, if it was me, if I knew them, if I'd been in that house, if I was just in the area, whatever, I would have gone in voluntarily and talked and given my DNA. I know a lot of people have a problem giving up DNA, though. It's a privacy thing. A lot of people worry about it. They don't want their DNA in the hands of the government. But I would definitely, I mean, when we were in forensics, we learned, you can use it to rule people in or rule people out. And I would give it to them just to be ruled out. It's kind of like fingerprints. I'd give them my fingerprints as well. Just, I've always said, if something happened, like if my husband were to get murdered, I know I'm going to be the first person they look at because I'm his spouse. I'm going to be their suspect, right? I would be like, take my computer, take my phone, take my DNA, take my fingerprints, whatever you need, just take it so you can clear me and move on to finding the real suspect. And I would think most people would be that way. And if I were living in a house with someone that got murdered, I would handle it the same way. Or if I had been in a house where someone was murdered recently, I would be the same way. That's true. Yeah, I think, I can't remember which one it was, Dylan or Bethany. I think, didn't they go to high school with Hannah, who overdosed? And then I think Maddie had been roommates with her or something. Well, and you talk about social media, all of us sleuths, jumping on people when they talk is going to make people less inclined to talk. And is that having any effect on the investigation? I don't know what year they were, Eudora's Mama's Garden. Does anybody know if the downstairs roommates were freshmen or sophomores? Yeah, I haven't heard. I thought I had heard they were freshmen, but don't quote me on that. At my school, if we were freshmen, we had to live in the dorms. Wasn't even a question. No, exactly, Reagan. So that's the thing, you've got all these people living in the house, and everybody has like their group of friends, and it's a party house. And like I said, that body cam video, they said that the people that lived there weren't there. They had left to go to another party, and all these people are in the house with none of the roommates there. It opens it up to so many possibilities. I mean, somebody could have come in and, found the layout of the house just from that. That's what I heard too, Eudora's Mama's Garden. So, from what we've been hearing, the order of how people were in the house where the murders happened, whoever was like seniors or whatever, whoever had been there the longest got the upper floor, and then the middle floor was like, whoever was mid-range, like let's say sophomore, junior, whatever, and then the bottom floor was the freshman. I don't know if that's true, but I've heard that in several different places. Sorry, my voice is starting to go. don't know, but so many people involved in this case did go to high school together. It's very interesting if you start looking at people whose names have come up just around the case. So many people went to school together, high school together, and ended up at this college. So this could have been some sort of conflict that had been brewing since high school. Probably. Oh my gosh, talking about TikTok. You know, the TikToker that's being sued. I talked about her in my video the other day. I looked and she's still making videos. She's still making videos about the professor. Sorry, hang on. But she's still making videos, putting that professor's name out there and talking about how much she's looking forward to going to court against her and bringing out all this evidence against her. And I couldn't believe it that she's still... The cease and desist orders didn't work. The lawsuit, she could care less. She just keeps throwing this lady's name out there. Allegedly, I know what you mean. Mine's sitting over here and I keep looking over at it. Yeah, dogs again. Sorry. My husband's gone. He went shopping and I keep thinking he came home and that's why they're barking, but apparently it's not him. I've got my daughter corralling the dogs now. But, all right, well, I think I need to start. Yes, Ashley is in the Book of Life, allegedly. Wow, I can't believe it. I looked. Let me look now. I looked this morning and there were new videos up and I was blown away. I would have thought that somebody would have made her stop by now.
It's because he's a drunk.
Sorry, my weather app is a smart ass. She just said the weatherman was a drunk. Now my daughter's laughing. I did not mean that to happen while I was live.
I have physical evidence. New theories from...
I'm glad you're entertained, Colleen.
Online detectives may give more insight into...
Hey, if you like this post, I'm going to come to your page and I'm going to like one of your posts.
Where's your camera at?
There's Colleen, guys.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to do.
Okay. Do you feel better now?
Yeah, I feel great.
Okay.
Guys, Samantha's not home.
Yeah, I followed her too, allegedly. I was like, what is up with this girl? My best friend sent me one of her videos and I watched it. And, like, it was one of the first ones she had done on the case. And then I just started, like, following, watching. And, like, the further it went, the crazier it got. And I thought, well, when this lawsuit happened, those videos were going to stop. Nope. She just keeps on cranking them out. She just keeps putting them out there. She don't care. I think I heard her say something the other day about something about not being worried about this little $75,000 lawsuit. And I thought, damn, if somebody came after me for $75,000, I would shut up. Hey, Colleen.
Reagan just texted me and said that she saw me.
Allegedly says, hi, child of that country girl's life. And Lori says, hey, sweetie.
Can they hear me?
Yes, can you guys hear her?
I'm like a little rat sneaking in here. Like,
The talker is out of touch, yeah.
I'm assuming they hear me. So, hi, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, Reagan texted me and was like, I almost started talking like you could hear me.
Yeah, that's Colleen. She's on dog patrol right now.
I love your viewers.
Reagan says, it's my best friend.
Oh, Sam, put your...
We're saying, hello, child.
Hello, world.
Allegedly says, yes, they can hear you.
Oh, thank God. Well, I say hello.
Do you have any input on this case?
Do I got any input? I don't know. All I can really say is...
Okay, here, she's going to come give her input now. Let me scoot over a little bit here. Careful. Oh, the green screen.
It's alright. All I can say, chaos, confused. That's it. That's all I really can say.
Oh my god, my husband's in the chat.
He's at Walmart!
I'm sorry. He's at Walmart.
What did he say?
He says I can't remember what chips. Sweet chili something.
Salt and vinegar.
And your daughter wants salt and vinegar. Can you also get me something sweet? Some chocolate, donuts or something. Oh my god. Allegedly, yes, she does follow true crime.
I do every now and then, occasionally.
She was following they're laughing. She was following Kylie Rodney with me and giving me her opinion on Kylie Rodney, and she's kind of been following this one too. I don't know if she wanted to, but I talk to her about it all the time. Allegedly says don't knock over the oversized window behind you.
This window's fine. I won't knock it over. It's okay.
You see the window on the screen though, right?
Yeah, I do see the window on the screen. Whose window is that?
Tell your mom that Steve's toy is supposed to come today and is not designed to help Christy concentrate even better during her lives. Oh, good.
Are you hearing that? Apparently I'm supposed to repeat that back to you, but I can't read. That is so funny.
That's true, Lori. I mean, I guess, I don't know if he tried to get a hold of me on my phone or not, but when he left, I told him I was going live, so he knew where to look for me, I guess.
He had called me earlier. My goodness.
Oh, you're going back to Truckee? I swear this place is looking like Truckee sometimes. Some of the stuff that I find out about different people, and especially the great community, I'm like, good Lord, it's Truckee Part 2. You have to let me know when you get back there, Honey Badger. And babe, I don't know if you're still listening, but thank you for getting my chips and my chocolate. He's like, yes, I did try to call you. Didn't know if you were still alive. Yes, I am still alive. I am still alive. Wow. All right. He doesn't like true crime, you guys. He doesn't like true crime at all. I've asked him to talk with me on here a few times. He refuses to, but apparently he is not scared to get in chat. Pray for the devil. Ooh, new scary movie. I love scary movies, allegedly.
Yes, he says sweet chili. And then
Yeah, is that your dad?
yes, it is.
Okay, now my husband's calling my daughter.
Is it Lay's or something?
I think they make them.
Lay's?
Sorry, we're still having the chip debate. Does anybody have, like, any chip recommendations for me? Allegedly wants chips now. You know what? God, this doesn't have anything to do with true crime. Not that chips do, but the reason I wanted chips was because I don't know if any of you watch Letterkenny, but their new season came out yesterday, and the first episode they were having this big debate about chips and flavors of chips, and I was like, oh my God. I looked at my husband and I'm like, I really want chips now. So when he went shopping, I was like, chips are on the shopping list.
Mom, they don't got no sweet chili.
Reagan says get jalapeno chips or the salsa Doritos.
Yeah, remember...
Lori Myers would like dill pickle chips, please.
Mom, you said there's no sweet chili ones.
Hang on, I'm gonna let you talk to my daughter for a minute.
Okay. Come on, Mom's coming for you.
So I found sweet chili noodles, but
What's up?
Lay's had some
I'm here.
chili chips.
This is my channel now. My channel. How are you guys today? I don't have any input on the case. I'm gonna be honest with you. Also, sorry I look bad. I haven't done anything with my hair. This is so nerve-wracking. Oh my God, hi Reagan.
Alright, it's not the barbecue's fine. what?
Honey badger.
Carnitas?
Hi, Lori.
Of what?
Thank you, honey badger.
I don't know, maybe. I don't care, just get me something. But don't forget to get me something sweet. Okay. Alright, love you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Lori. You have people talking in here. Reagan's telling me that I shouldn't be nervous and just act like it's her in here.
Okay.
But it's scary.
It's scary.
Yeah.
You stream?
Yeah, but I get 3 people in my stream. One person talks at most.
She's a video game streamer. I don't know why she's acting nervous.
Also, your mic sounds so good, I need one.
Alright, so I think we got the chip thing sorted out. Little country girl's life. No, like I said, she just hears about the cases that I'm covering. I like to bounce things off of her and see what she thinks. I like to get an 18-year-old's perspective on things sometimes, especially in Kylie Rodney. And then like this, I talk to my kids. My sons are in their 20s and she's 18. And so I talk to them because a lot of this stuff is their age range. Yeah, she's little country girl. I'm not. I'm like old country girl. I should be this country old woman. Ooh, sugar cookies? That sounds good. I don't know. I've been craving sweets. I didn't get all my Christmas baking and stuff done because we were sick. So I need to get cookies made and fudge made. And this, I don't know if you guys know what puppy chow is, but I need to make that. And allegedly, you don't know what anyone's names are. I'm Christy. That was Colleen. My husband's Bobby. My boys are Brett and Eric. My oldest, we usually call him the displaced redneck because he's in Massachusetts. And then the other one, we just call the middle child because he always says he's ignored because he's the middle child. And then Colleen, when she was born, I started calling her the queen of everything. Today she's the dog wrangler. Sometimes she's the chicken tender. Yes, Reagan is my daughter from another mother. She comes and stays with us. Yes, Lori Myers, isn't puppy chow the best? I gotta make some because I can just snack on that while I'm watching TV and love it. But yeah, Christmas, it was chaos for us. Like I said, we've all been sick. Rona and the flu kind of hit our house. And then on Christmas Day, my father-in-law got taken to the hospital by ambulance. He lives in Illinois. And so we were kind of dealing with, was my husband going to fly back to see how his dad was doing? And then, you know, all the travel chaos. And it's just, it's been crazy. Allegedly. I know, you know, that it seems like there's not a lot of men into true crime, really. And my husband, he was military police, and I'm always like, oh, give me your perspective on this or that. And he's like, if it doesn't affect me, I don't care.
He's a hater.
Yeah, my daughter said he's a hater. I mean, sometimes I can get him to talk with me about it, and sometimes I can, like, you know, kind of wrangle him into watching, like, a true crime show with me. And I talk to him about it, whether he wants to talk about it or not. But, yeah, it's just not his thing. That's right, Lori Myers, Salem. Oh, Salem. My son went to Salem. He went once around Halloween time, and it was not the time to go. But they went on a tour of Salem, and he loved it. I want to go there sometime. Not around Halloween, but sometime next time I go visit, I want to go to Salem and check it out. I don't know. Do we have any other men in the chat? Look at you, allegedly, with all these women. No, I need to find a case that my husband is actually interested in. Because, yeah, my daughter said good luck with that. Because I would like his perspective, but he just, I don't know. There was a crime that happened when we were stationed in Illinois. It happened not far from us. It was kind of like Chris Watts' case. He killed his wife and his kids and all that, and he wasn't even that interested in that one, and it was close by. And he hates, like, haunted anything. Like, he won't go to even a fake haunted house with us, and he comes from one of the most haunted towns in the United States and hates it. He doesn't like horror movies, and I love them, so yeah, we're very opposite, very opposite. But I would love for him to come on here sometime and talk, but he probably won't. I kind of got him hooked in on Kylie Rodney a little bit, but then that didn't last. This one, a little bit, but I'll ask him questions, and he just kind of, you know. But I kind of got to give him a break right now because they're gearing up for a deployment, and they've been super busy. He's been trying to get all of his soldiers in line for a deployment that's coming up in the new year. So I kind of give him a break because he's like really stressed out when he comes home from work. So I try not to lay too much of my true crime stuff on him. It's definitely not for everybody. But all right, well, I guess I will start wrapping up here since apparently my husband probably has more questions for me about the shopping list. And instead of him having to come in to chat, I will get off here in case he needs to call me and ask me any more questions. But thank you guys for joining me for, wow, almost 2 hours. Sorry about that. I usually don't go this long. And just kind of talking things over and let me know what you think. You think of anything else, give me a comment or send me an email. Before you leave, make sure you give it a thumbs up, share, subscribe, do all the things. I would really appreciate it. And I love you all for being here. Everybody take care of yourselves. I hope you are planning some great things for the new year. And as always, I will see you all in the next one. Bye.